Obrigado, Ricardo. Obrigado, Lúcia, pela apresentação. A gente deixa as perguntas para o final, certo, Viviana? Então, vamos agora para a apresentação do Carlo Arancio, né? Ele vai apresentar para a gente o trabalho, eu já vou traduzir aqui, História lida através da arquitetura por um explorador urbano na Sicília, né? A apresentação do Carlos aí faz parte do projeto Sicily in Decay, né? Ele é fotógrafo e vai trazer para a gente uma abordagem que dialoga muito com os outros trabalhos que foram apresentados. Carlos, fica à vontade, tá? Somos todos ouvidos.
Carlo, puoi parlare.
Buonasera, good evening to everyone. As Vinícius presented me, I want to show you through my photos what we can read about the history of those places in Sicily. First of all, I have to say thanks to who invited me here, and I hope you will like my presentation. I'm trying to open it on your, to share on your screen. Viviana, puoi darmi un consiglio?
Devi cliccare. Hai aperto il PowerPoint?
È un PDF.
Ah, è un PDF, ma è aperto, non è in icona?
Sì, sì, è aperto.
Ok, non lo devi lasciare in icona, lascialo aperto. Allora vai su il quadratino con la freccia in alto. Clicchi lassù.
Sì, ok, ci sono.
E c'è scritto condividere. Vai su finestra, c'è scheda Chrome, finestra, schermo intero, vai su finestra.
Ok.
E clicchi sul PDF aperto.
E non me lo dà. Ok, adesso c'è.
Hai trovato?
Sì. Mi vedete?
Aspetta. Sì. Ora se... Ah, perfetto, già è grande così. D'accordo.
Non so se io la vedo un po' pixelata, non so voi.
Sì, la risoluzione non è eccellente.
La apro così.
Ora, perfetto. Ora va bene.
Evitiamo. Allora, first I would like to start to telling you what is Sicily in Decay. So I started this presentation with my bio of the project. Sicily in Decay, as you can easily read, is a archive of photos depicting our cultural heritage in architecture, mostly abandoned or prestigious places in Sicily. The aim of this of the photography is to keep a memory of those places before they disappear. And as you will see, many of the places I shoot today no more exist, or they have changed a lot. However, this kind of research linked to photography can be linked to a modern term we used to say Urbex. So, what is Urbex? Urbex, concerning photography, is what I do. So, taking photos in abandoned places. When we can say Urbex even just to explain the term, with this term, the exploration. So it is not always linked to photography or studies or research. It can be something that you can do even just for leisure. In this text you are reading, I want to underline that with the word urbex, that is made by two words from English, urban and exploration, we can find many the kind of urbexers. So even those who are ghost hunting in abandoned places, we can easily call them urbexers. And you can easily wonder that this is really, really far from what I do. So it's a term that I use because it describes well what I do, but we have to take it with a little bit of distrust, if you want. Anyway, I'll start showing you a picture of a neo-Gothic cloister in Sicily. I never say exactly where we are, and this is one of the rules of the ethic of urbexers. As those places, as they are spread and shown on internet, they can easily be prey of vandalism and theft. And you will see this in the other picture. But first, I want to show you this cloister, discussing what was Urbex before the birth of this term. And I've chosen this photo because it is very linked to an artistic movement that I think you know. It is Ruinism. So before Urbex, there was Ruinism. It's a period then between the 18th and the 19th century, in which ruins start to fascinate in Europe a lot. And they even became a part of a more huge movement, this Romanticism. And as you can see from this comparison, there is a strong link between ruins and nature that those artists want to underline, as we urbexers do today. So I told you about Ruinism, and in this photo, in this painting, you see not what was the first urbexer in the history, but we see a man in front of an altar that is really a tomb inside an abandoned church in ruin. I would like to say that it can be considered an urbexer ante litteram, but it is not the case, because this painting was filled with politics meanings that we are not discussing today. Anything, this Ruinism didn't affect just artists and painters, but even other domains like philosophy, literature. Anyway, other artists that have many links with urbexer of today are others like Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot, who was another Ruinist painter, or Giovan Battista Piranesi, who was a drawer and an artist and an architect, who showed his interest before the Ruinist movement starts, talking about parlanti ruine, literally speaking ruins. It is with these words he described the remains of the Roman Forum, and he tried to describe it with drawings, trying to show even the charm of the passing time, the nature taking back her places, and the strong feeling of history that those places give. I even talk about John Ruskin. It's someone I cannot know name in this presentation. As his work, it is not an artist, it is mostly a philosopher and a writer. In his most famous work, The Seven Lamps of Architecture, he describes and speaks about the duty that humanity have in front of ruins, and what do we have to do. So during those 2 centuries, there are there is a huge interest concerning ruins. And another things that links all those people I named, from Corot to the German painter of the Ruinists, is that they have studied abroad through the Grand Tour. The Grand Tour was like a modern road trip, if you want to, in which young aristocrats went abroad in order to study the culture and the architecture of ancient people and to discover even wild nature. One of the most important goals of this road trip was even to visit not just Rome, but even Pompeii. And I think you really know how it was represented by those travelers through their drawings. Here we have a view from Herculaneum, drawn by Piranesi, and we can easily see that there are many people. Those people were travelers. So we can say that the Grand Tour is the first massified touristic phenomenon, if you want. So those person who went to this road trip in order to study started to represent what they discovered, first by drawing and then using even photography. And sometimes, due to their work, like for example those of Goethe and Howell, I hope to pronounce them well, thanks to them we can see how those places were, even if now they are disappeared. In the picture you see there is a drawing, it's just a detail of a drawing of Jean-Pierre Howell, in which he described the status of a temple in Syracuse that just showed 2 columns during the 19th century. So I can say that maybe the aim of those people who made those paintings is very similar to the urbexers' aim, so to keep a memory of the places they discover or study or explore. All of this cultural debate in Europe influenced so not just art in general, but even in architecture. I'm gonna show you 2 examples. One is in Palermo. It's Casina Cinese. It was the house of the Bourbon king. And inside of it, there are many rooms. And the one in particular is very related to ruinism. They created like a false ruin, recreating the view that the archaeologists first have seen after breaking the vault of the houses in Ercolano or Pompeii, and then getting inside from the top. So most of those places, like you see here, show collapsing holes on the ceiling, and the rest is it's a reference to the Roman style. In this case, we are in Palermo, and this is just a room, and it's just painted. But there is someone who made even better, and even before. It's a famous example. We are in Caserta, and the architect Carlo Van Vitelli decided to recreate for real, with bricks, stones, statues, and even nature, a fake ruin. That is the cryptoporticus of the Royal Palace of Caserta. As we saw before, we have a Roman inside with the collapsed vault, and even the how can I say, the green overgrown plants getting inside, in order to recreate this ruinism view. So that was a short presentation of what was Urbex before Urbex. And now I want to show you a view of Sicily through my photos and trying to read from what the architecture say some part of the story of those places. Here, I wanted to show a church with a collapsed roof, and we can easily see that we have a Liberty altar, an Art Nouveau altar, in a neoclassical context, but I can even say, as I visited the places, that the building was a 19th century building. What we can read through this, that it has been restyled during the time. But it is not just this that we will read through those places. Here we are inside a salone in an abandoned villa. There are many fruit boxes, so the title of the photo is China boxes. But even because the decors on the vault, they are Orientalist decorations that were charming Europe during the 19th century, and even a little bit earlier, mostly in France. But anyway, so here we have a decorative element that put us in a right time, and we have even all those fruit boxes. Reading through those elements, we can say that we are for sure near context, agricultural context. That's true, because the owner of those villas were nobles, and they have a lot of lands that precede fruits. And it is impressive that we can easily find still fruit boxes inside, as their work didn't end with their houses. Here we are in another places, in another villa, and that one is not a salon, but is a dining room. I can say that is a dining room because we have a wall cupboard here that is often used in dining room, and we have even those kind of decor showing view from the world. That is a typical decor from dining room in Sicilian old manors and villas. But we easily see that there is no more dining room. This is now an abandoned bedroom. So that suggests a change of function. I want to say that this is something linked to the destiny of those places. Most of those villas were built just to show the power of the family on the land, and they didn't leave it there. So sometimes there is just one decorated room just to represent the family, and the rest was just empty architecture, just put just there like a flag to show that the family was controlling. And in this case, we found a bedroom because those places, as they were abandoned, they were reused by people who were working the land. So this bed, it has been maybe used by the farmer nearby to rest during their works. Here we are in another villa. It's a main entrance, and we can easily see that we have some armors decorated on the vault, and some reference to the Roman painters on the walls. As they decorated walls and dome together, we can say that they were very, very rich. But we don't find any blasons or heraldic on the dome, as they were rich but not noble. So we can say that they were entrepreneurs and not noble owners. There is a detail of the false heraldic showing no symbols. And here we are inside another palazzo. In this case, it's not abandoned, it's just decaying. It was invited by the owners to shoot there. And what I want to say about this place, you cannot really read it through the photos, but if you glance over the window on the balcony, you will see the main square of the village, and just in front of it, a very tight palazzo building, Art Nouveau, but it's taller than the building in which we are. The Art Nouveau building has been built before, and with this matter of tallness more compared to the palazzo in which we are, they wanted to show to all the village that the new social goal that they achieved. So here we are in a old noble palazzo, and the one in front was similar, if you want, of as a social class as that one, as I told you before. I hope my English is not that bad and you can understand what I say and not I'm speaking alone. Anyway, the next photo is a orthophoto taken from Google Earth and show you that we have to see better the context. As I told you before, to compare the two buildings, one in front of the other on the main square, to read through their shape, the history of this village. Here we have another kind of consideration to do. Near the ruins of this villa, we can easily see that there is a small wood, but those trees are not totally the same of the others. Those trees are anthropic. What we can read through this element? That this is not just a farm. That should be more. It should be a representative manner of someone very important, as they planted some trees next to it. Why they did it? I can say that that one was a summer house from a very strong and rich noble family in Sicily, and they planted those trees just to spend time on the exterior during December, avoiding the risk to get sunburned, as the color of the skin was very important to show their social class. Here we are in another room belonging to Liberty Palazzo, and what we can read through those decors. We have a central part that can be older compared to the rest, that it is Art Nouveau Liberty style, so 20th century. And the central part is like neoclassical. What they did, they reused the decor, the ancient decor that was neoclassical, to change it to the modern taste. So they left just the female figure in the middle and those two Amorini, angels. They maybe erased the instrument that she was playing, if she was a tersicore, or maybe some shells if she was a Venus, we don't know. They just added some flowers, and now she became a spring personified. That is one of the most common themes in Liberty. So what I want to say that from what we see inside a room, we can try to read from the layers of tracers and painters what was the story of this place before it was abandoned. Another thing we can easily see, there is a blue color here. This is a lack of painting showing the original one. So in origin, all of this was blue. At the epoch in which this personified spring was maybe a Venus or a Tersicore. Here we are in another abandoned villa. We have Amore and Psyche, but we cannot really recognize them as they are black, as the other rest of the decors became black. Why I'm telling you this? I'm telling this because this is an element that can help us to put this decor in a time, in the right time, as they were not black at the beginning. This is corruption of the pigment that was made with plomb. We call it white lead, and as it was very toxic, dangerous, and even chromatically it's not stable. It has been abandoned during the second half of the 20th century. So we can easily say that those decor are made before. We can even say without just a glance because of the style, but this is something I wanted to show you. Here we are in a different villa, and in this case there are no decors, but we can find those graffiti if you want. They were made by soldiers during the Second World War, and maybe they wanted to represent in a Goliardic way their group of this group of soldiers. This is like testimonial of what the Second World War left even in those places, as those were easily occupied by the army when those buildings were in strategical positions, and it is exactly what happened to this villa. Even here, we have the same problem, if you want. We show through the collapses of this building, some war scars. This building has been bombed during the Second World War, and that's why it is abandoned today. And in this case, we cannot easily see that all this decay is not made just by time, but there is something that happened here. And in this case was a war fact. In this case, not. In this case, it's a natural fact. This villa has been destroyed by an earthquake. I can say that today it is there is no more building because it collapsed totally. And so when we face those places that show those very deep scar through their structure, we should investigate a little bit about what led this building to be like this. And in this case, we can easily know that was an earthquake. And studying how many earthquakes and in which period can be easy to can made easy dating when these places have been abandoned. Here we are in another palazzo. It's well preserved, but was abandoned for some decades. And we can see something strange. In this decor, we see that there are some electric wires. Those electric wires today, if you see them with the eyes of contemporary human being, we should say that they are not in the right places. But if we saw them with the eyes of a human being living in this era, it's very clear that they wanted just to celebrate progress and the electrical light that came in their houses, bringing lights and wealth. This is another case where we found the telegrapho. I don't know how to translate it. And it was still nice to show. Well, I'm gonna read a little bit here. As I told you, it's important. My tip is to pay attention to the way we look at those elements. I want to see. We have to evaluate with the same eyes of an observer of the time. Strengthened by my studies in architecture I made in Syracuse, I bring it to you this example. If we look at the columns of the Temple of Apollo in Syracuse, we will not have a lot to say today. But if we look at them with the eyes of an observer of that time, when the temple has been built, we can be surprised about what people could say at that time. And in fact, there is a problem. Those columns were deformed. I mean, they are a little bit different one from each other because of the hardness of the material that the people who built it were not ready to face, as they didn't have the habit. What I want to say with this, if we see this room, we have a new Baroque decor. Baroque is famous to be not symmetrical, to be chaotic, if you want. So we can even just consider that is just a neo-Baroque decor. But if we look it with the eyes of an architect of the time, we can easily find an answer. I want to show you, there is a door here. From this door, the visitor can see this room, that is the representative room. In front of him, there is a blind wall. And if you see well, the shape of this room is not regular. So they used to double the decor on this side in order to try to balance this asymmetry. In order even to make this room more larger to the guests passing through the famous door here. And this element, we can say that has the same social reason of emphasis in columns. That's why I named them before talking about the Apollo temple. As no one will judge today someone who has a salon that is not regular. But at the time, as this one was the most important room with the other for social exchange, it has to respect some dictates that today we don't even consider.
Carlo, scusami se ti interrompo, volevo avvisarti che già sono passati 30 minuti, quindi ti chiederei il favore di andare verso la conclusione. Grazie.
Okay. So, the only thing I want to say that even materials can give us some tips. Here we have lava stones and bricks that leads us in a specific place, that is Catania or the area near the Etna. So materials can say even more, or in this case, even put us in a specific timeline. If you are curious, as I don't have too much time, I tip you to see this case of study. As for the research, I use utils like everyone, like maps or orthophotos with Google Earth that allow us to see how it changed in time. Here we are in 2017. Here we are in 2018, and we can see as the more we pass time, all the roof are collapsing. So it's easy to say that the place is abandoned. Another thing I wanted to show you that is in the map, we have a cross, so it leads directly us to this element that is a church. And so we can say that there is a church, there is a villa, and maybe that one is the worker's house. So without going on the places, we can try to read what is his identity through the view of Google Maps too, and then go there and check if it was true. The last thing I have to say about Urbex is it's a phenomenon that is linked a lot through social media, and there is even a dark side. As all those places, and the reason because I want to keep them anonymous is that one, as they are shown on social media and they became famous and visited by many people without any control. This is exactly what happens. So my invitation as a urbexer is always, if you find something fragile, to take care of it, and as you showed it to you, taken it from oblivion, you have even to consider what will happen to it as you show it to the world. And with this last photo, I show you some graffiti painted on a beautiful dining room decorated with a view from Naples. That is one of my most important photos for me, as it has been vandalized. And with this, I say you goodbye. And if you want to see more about my photos, you can easily find me on Instagram through the QR code.